Everyone, welcome to Newcastle Fans TV on I would normally say a happy day for deadline day in the last couple of years, but maybe not so much nowadays, not particularly the last month or so because it's not been great. I can say there's two people on screen today. I've got Andrew, aka Hippie. How are you, pal?
Very good. And yourself?
I am alright, just not, deadline day has not been great, has it?
It's a little lackluster, isn't it? We could say, being polite.
Yeah, we can say that. And if you're wondering who Hippie is, I met Hippie in Australia. You tried to get me drunk, didn't you? You haven't buying me pints left, right, and centre. I'd like to slow down, mate. Slow down.
And I don't normally drink.
I
So how's
know.
that?
No, it was a good night, wasn't it? It was a good night, and
It
obviously
was.
your lad was there and everything. And obviously your family hail from South Shields because I no doubt someone's going to bring up your accent. So he is based all the way out in Australia, but of course he's a Geordie at heart. But we've got quite a bit to talk about. We're going to be doing a few live shows. We're getting people around the world. We've got USA coming later. We've got local lads as well. Obviously we're on Tippy from Australia. Just to get a fan's perspective from all around the world, how they feel about the transfer window and the deadline day and so on. Of course, with it being just turned 1 o'clock in the UK time, obviously it's fast forward, it's night time over in Australia. But Eddie Howe has had his press conference and he has talked about a lot of the speculation or will there be any dealings happening today and so on. And obviously, you can see a live chat as well. Do keep your comments coming in. Hi, Gary. Hi, John as well. Nice to see you in the live chat there. Hippie, I'm going to come on to Eddie Howe and his squad, what he's got so far at the moment. And this is what he said in his presser. He said, I think there'll be a feeling that we have a good squad and we like all the players that we have in our squad, but there is a feeling, of course, that there's a few areas of the squad we felt we needed to strengthen. I think we can carry those emotions depending on what happens in the last hours. Where do you stand with what the squad is now? Is it strong?
If we can stay fit, I think it's okay. Will we challenge for the title? I don't think so. Will we challenge for top four? Perhaps. I think that's going to depend on how everyone else goes, doesn't it? Um, Look, I think we've got a pretty good squad. I think the upside to our squad is they all know each other and they played together for quite some time. But it could be better, couldn't it?
It could be. Where do you think, if, let's just say, nobody. I mean, Eddie Howe is still hopeful, by the way, even though the hours are ticking away. Where will this squad finish this season if I put you on the spot?
If we just have what we've got, we don't bring anyone else in.
Yeah.
I reckon, being optimistic, sixth.
Yeah, give or take where we finished last season because we finished seventh with so many injuries. Obviously, some people might say that we don't have any European football, which might help Newcastle playing most weeks, one game a week. But of course, I'll ask you later where do you put the blame on the transfer window, but obviously PSR is a big factor, and Eddie Howe was asked about that again in his press conference today, and he's turned around and said that all the workings of the window was totally changed. I think it took time for everyone to realise that would change, and certainly for me as a manager, when you're spending 90% of your time on the training pitch with the players, and then there's this new dynamic to totally throw in everything, what you're doing and change the way you're recruiting players, it's been a big shift. We'll get used to that, but there's obviously a change for us. And I don't think it's just us, is it, Hippie? It's across the whole Premier League, this PSR nonsense, isn't it? Where do you stand with it?
I don't know. Do they need to change these rules, or are they just made to stifle? Or they're a little confusing because, I mean, I get the overarching principle is to stop clubs from going under, but I mean, really look at the Premier League clubs. They're all filthy rich owners, the majority of them. Name one club that really doesn't have someone with deep pockets. I mean, clubs like Wolves, us, they've got a lot of money back in those clubs, but can we spend it? No.
Yeah.
So what's I
Should
mean, for the lower league, it's a great idea. For the Premier League, I think something's got to give because it everyone's of the opinion, and I mean everyone. You read it everywhere that it's there as a cartel to stop lesser clubs coming up and competing against, I guess, the big so-called six clubs.
Well, that's what
Otherwise,
they're worried about with us, isn't it? When we had the takeover, there was like straight away, I think it was like a week later, clubs can't sponsor themselves, and Manchester City obviously taking the Premier League to court over something very similar and all that. And it's like you can't make the rules up as you go along. And I do get it; they don't want like another Man City or another Chelsea happening. But further down the leagues, I understand why it's there. But as you mentioned just there, you've just mentioned like every single Premier League owner is worth hundreds and hundreds of millions, and they're not going to get bankrupt in the Premier League, I don't feel, but I don't think you should have unlimited spending. No, but there should be a tweak to it, because things like where we've got to sell, like the thing that bugs me is selling your youth prospects, and it's not just Newcastle; it's across the whole of the Premier League. Chelsea have having to do it. Man United have just done it with Scott Tomney. We've had to do it with Elliot Anderson. You shouldn't really be selling your best young talent just so you can get net profit. It's crackers, man. It's absolute mental, but. We'll move on from that. Eddie Howe again in the press conference. Now he's talked about, and you can see the first sentence on your screen there. I'm not going to sit here and say this has been a brilliant transfer window for us. I'll just say that again for you. I'm not going to sit here and say that this has been a brilliant transfer window for us. I think he's being very, very polite what he's actually saying there. I don't know.
so.
Oh, 100%. I'll ask your opinion in a minute. I don't know if expecting, in brackets, more business is the right word, but we are hopeful, of course. So that tells me that the club aren't finished yet, or hoping is probably the key word. When we start out and go into the window, there's various parts of the squad that need looking at, work, and need it to improve. It's the same wish for everyone working inside Newcastle, but we've got to find the right solutions, and they've got to be the right solutions. The worst thing we could do is bring in the wrong players, and the wrong players could harm us in the future. So it's a case of hippie there. You don't want to go panic buying, do you, if you can't get, i.e. Marc Guehi?
Well, no, because I mean, no, I guess you're right. You don't want to go panic buying, but I mean, can we panic buy anyway? I mean, really? Like it seems we can't spend any money because I mean, what's the club doing? They're not
Well,
spending any money. So have we got money?
we've definitely got the money for Guehi.
No money.
Could you look at that money and maybe go for a number 2 target, a number 3 target who's better than what we've got? Obviously, we were linked to think people like Tapsoda. Obviously, he come out and said that he doesn't want to move, but how far do you go down that list to try and get in? How desperate are you? Because ideally, you want to improve the squad, not have someone who's on a similar level.
Is it a case that they're trying to call Palace's bluff by going for these other players? Because, I mean...
Potentially.
Well, who was the Liverpool centre-back? What's his name again? The one that was sort of on offer with Gordon.
Quansah. Was it Quansah? No, I know who you're on about, but Joe Gomez.
Yes, Gomez. Like, I've heard his name mentioned again recently in the last few days, and it's like, I don't rate him. I wouldn't take him. But is that just sort of there as a feed to Palace to say, well, look, these are the other players we're looking at. Are you going to make a decision?
Because you've got to look at it and think, what's better than Botman and Shea? But if Botman's fit, he starts. What's better than them in the market at the moment? There isn't too many, because Shea's had a brilliant season. Botman, yes, I know a little bit indifferent with his injury, but he was playing with an injury, which is another video for another day. But it's how much do you go and spend? Newcastle do have the money, it's clear, but obviously, right, Paris is calling the bluff, and looks like Paris is going to keep Guehi because they've sold Joachim Andersen. They brought in another defender already to replace him, but I don't think Marc Guehi is going to happen. But it hasn't been a brilliant transfer window. That's what
I've got a question for you.
Go on then.
So, what's the correlation here? You've got João Pedro, Hugo Ekitike, James Maddison, and Marc Guehi. What have they all got in common?
Well, they were linked to us last summer, weren't they? And it's ironic. My cat's trying to get onto the stream. And it's ironic because if you look at Willa Sula, you would have Hugo and Ekitike surely over that. So
we chased them. We chased them all for a whole transfer window, each and every one of those players. We never ended up signing them.
I know, and you'd probably take 2 or 3 of them now, wouldn't you? And it is what it is. What it is. But
what are we doing? What are we doing, Lee?
Well, who do you put that's what I'm going to throw back here. Who's to blame here? Because we've seen Amanda and Miadad leave. Would this happen under their ship?
Well, it did, didn't it? Like Hugo,
As bad as this,
Madison.
we're getting to deadline day and we haven't really got a major signing. Lewis Hall was done last summer, and that was we had to pay it this summer, but that deal was done last summer. So the biggest transfer is probably Lloyd Kelly because he's the more one who's
Yeah.
got the reputation out of all the four signings, and he's a free. Yes, Will Asula cost 10 million, but he's not a player for now, is he?
Nah. He looks all right. I think he'll come good. I think he'll be good for us. But yeah, it's kind of we haven't had a marquee signing, have we?
I know, and it's like don't demand that, but when you're trying to improve the squad, and Darren Neals has come out and said that we expect European football. Well, had a minute. If you expect European football, surely you've got to go and strengthen your side. Do you put the blame on Darren Neals? Do you put it on Paul Mitchell?
Do you think it's a case, and I'm just speculating here, that they're holding this money back because perhaps they're just going to wait and see what Eddie can do with the current squad, maybe almost set him up to fail to get him out the door
I
and
hope not.
move him on and bring in, I don't know, that marquee signing manager, so to speak, you know, your Jose or your Pochettino, God forbid. And then they can go, hey, here's all this money.
Yeah, for January. Well, we definitely know the money's there. So
here's all this money.
I hope not, because if he has a bad run of games, Eddie Howe can turn around and say, well, wait a minute, I haven't been back. And I think a lot of fans will look at that and think, well, he's right. The last thing you want is the club being toxic, because we've had that under Ashley for years, and Eddie Howe's actually talked about that as well, which I'll bring up in a second. But you've got to look at it and think, if Eddie Howe has a bad start, that England job is still there. Lee Carsley's only got it on an interim level, and Eddie Howe's very, very fond of England. That could still come back in October, November time. That could still happen if England come calling and Newcastle are not doing as well as well. I hope not, but it's just a bit baffling how they haven't gone and backed him. And if it's Eddie Howe saying, right, we've got to get Guehi, we've got to get Guehi, we've got to get Guehi, I understand that, because that'll be Eddie Howe. But surely then you've got to look at it and think, well, wait a minute, we've got a week to go at the window. Let's move to the next target instead. Let's go and get the next player, because we're not getting anywhere here. And it's like we're now got the point, the stage where we've got 10 hours left of the window open, and we haven't signed a key. We haven't spent properly. It's crazy. We didn't spend in January either, if you remember as well, because we couldn't because of the PSR stuff. But Eddie Howe mentioned about his squad, and that's the one I've got on there. I've just brought up the same one, basically. I'll change that around. Eddie Howe and the fans, that's what I was trying to get with the toxicity, easy for me to say. I understand the fans' frustration over the transfer window. We're all in it together. We need one united cause, and that's a cause against everyone that we're playing. We can't do this by tearing ourselves apart. We're a formidable force when we're united. There's no one saying we don't want to support that. We do, all together. We have got to find the right solutions, but they have to be in the right solutions. The worst thing to do is bring in the wrong players again. So that's basically just saying, stick together, the whole club and the fans. Is that the right message? Surely it has to be.
I suppose it is, but
because the last thing you want is people bickering on social media and all that. The last thing you want is people pointing the finger and saying like Darren Neals is this, Darren Neals is that, or Paul Mitchell's that, but surely, I know what Eddie Howe is saying, but surely you have to point the finger a little bit, because if you look at the window, it's not a good window. Someone has to take a bit of responsibility.
Who?
It has to be Paul Mitchell and Darren Neals, surely.
You would think it's the CEO, isn't it? He's the man steering the ship. Like, he's got to take the blame.
And where's Yasser in all of this? I mean, he's allegedly coming over this weekend to the Spurs game. Because obviously he called, if you look at the Amazon documentary, he called the shot on Anthony Gordon, one to give it the go ahead. Where does he stand on this? Can he really sit there and think, he wants to be number one? To be number one, you've got to spend, and Newcastle haven't spent any money, and it's like, wait a minute, lads, what you doing?
Are they going to pull a rabbit out of their hat in the next 10 hours?
I hope so. Okay, I'll be ringing you. I don't care that you're 3 or 4 in the morning. I'll be hitting you. We've signed such and such. We've signed this right
Friday. It's Saturday morning.
Yeah. I just hope that it doesn't turn. My worry is that it doesn't turn into toxic, because that's the last thing we want. So that was obviously Eddie Howe's press, and there's only really been so far today one rumour which has been denied by Ben Jacobs, and this was linked a couple of days back as well. I found this out on the game going down Nottingham Forest that Miguel Almiron and that Fulham have come in from. Ben Jacobs says no, it's not going to happen. Thoughts on that, Andrew?
I don't know. I didn't hear anything about it, to be honest. I mean,
It's got a
I
lot
haven't
of
gone looking for that news, so I don't know. I've probably pile of crap, I reckon.
surely, if Miggy goes, you've got to have a replacement, surely.
Well, you think so, because, I mean, we're looking for a right winger and a centre back, and we haven't really signed either, have we? So I think, yeah, I don't think you can let Mickey go now. I mean, I think he's done his dash here. We need to let him go, but we can't let him go because we need him.
Because we
Quite
got,
frankly, we need him. We're not going to sign anybody else. We need Miggy, don't we?
and then that's mad saying that, because a few days ago he was like, "Nah, get him gone, get him gone." But we're going to,
Don't
but
be like
again, getting into the season though, we're going to be most weeks we're going to be having Murphy or Miggy in that right wing, unless you move Anthony Gordon and Harvey Barnes can play over there. But it's not good, is it? Let's be honest.
Nah, I'll take Murphy in that spot over Miggy. I think the headless chicken sort of. I think he's done his dash with us. Like, he's a good player. He served his purpose, but we need to move on. So I don't know. Maybe they're working on a right winger right now, Lee.
I really hope so. That's probably a loan to buy if it was the case. But Ben Jacobs has said Murphy to Fulham is not happening at all. So it's fairly quiet. I think what you'll tend to find later on today is that more and more rumours will start to happen. And look, a lot of it's going to be bullshit. A lot of people want the media clicks, of course. We know how this works. But there was a couple of official transfers that went through yesterday. I'll just quickly mention these. Jamie Miley, brother of Lewis, has got himself a move to Wales. He's joined Newport on loan. That's a good little move for him, isn't it? I think he needed that spell, didn't he, Hippie?
Yeah, I saw that. I read that. I was quite happy for him, because, I mean, otherwise he's probably going to stagnate. He's not going to get any first, game time, really, is he? Not yet. So I think it's a good move. Go down there, play some probably tough games in Wales, find his legs a bit, and then, he might come back to us much better for it, I think. Well, I would hope he comes back a bit better for it. So
Had a good pre-season as well, didn't he? He was involved quite a lot, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was actually. He was pretty good.
Yeah, Eddie Howe has mentioned that some of the under-21s will probably move out today. So you might see the likes of Alex Murphy get a move. Trevor Sanusi might, but obviously Eddie Howe has said 4 weeks ago that he would like him to stay with the first team. So we'll watch that, because he looks very much a hot prospect. And Max Thompson yesterday also, we've got that many goalkeepers on the books. He's joined Chesterfield on loan as well, so we've got one goalkeeper out. We might say Dubravka. There was links with Vlachodimos going to Anderlecht, even though we've just signed him. We'll watch to see what happens later on deadline day, but I think these young lads need first team football because they'll learn more whilst they're out playing proper men's football. But good luck to Max, who's joined, of course, Chesterfield. I wanted to get your thoughts on Marc Guehi a little bit more. How much would you pay for him if Newcastle? I think it's dead. Don't get me wrong, but if you went in last minute and said, right, we want him, he has X, Y, and Z. How much are you paying for him?
Well, what did we start with? What was the very first bid?
It was in the 50s, wasn't it? It was a 55, then it went up, then it was plus.
55, then 60, and then weren't they asking 65 originally? And it's about 70 now, probably.
With plus add-ons, potentials, and what have you.
How much was Maguire back in the day?
He was 80 million.
What, 80 million or something. Would we pay $80 million for Marc Guehi? Would we?
Would you?
Really?
Would you?
Do we need to? I think we might need to. Because we're sort of bleeding goals towards the end of the last season. Is he going to help? Would it make the fans happy? So, look, all right, I'll say yes. Let's pay 79 million for him. 80 million. 80 million. Let's break a record. We'll pay 80 million for him. Is that going to affect our PSR? Okay, let's say not. but that's a
I'll go.
lot
I
of
wouldn't go
money.
any more than 70 me. That's the cut off because I think there is other options that you can get out there. But I don't want. See, I don't want. See, I'll throw a name at you. Say Trevor Chalobah. Is he better than Fabian Schär? Is he better than Botman? Is he going to come in? And is he better than even Dan Burnett at the back? No, I don't think so. But you don't really want to go for all the way down there. You want a
No.
really high end quality player. So it's a tough one. I just don't think that's happening. That's been the big story. But Hippie, have Newcastle spent too much time trying to get Guehi through the door?
Yes, just like we spent too much time on Ekatike and Madison and a whole transfer window to end up with nothing. It's a waste of time, and it's a trend I want to see stopped. We just keep doing it. Transfer window after transfer window, we've got this big name, and we sort of seem to have like blinkers on or blinders for this one player. And what do we get out of it? Nothing. What do we got to show for it? Nothing.
Yeah, and I have
It's
seen the link yesterday
a waste of time.
with James Trafford once again. I find that puzzling. It hasn't been mentioned so far today, not that I've seen it. But that's bonkers. We don't need another goalkeeper coming in. Bloody hell, man. We've still got Dubravka, Vlachodimos, John Ruddy, Mark Gillespie, Max Thompson's just went out on loan. We don't need another goalkeeper. No.
Can one of them play right wing?
Don't know. Put them up top. John Ruddy up top. Last
Ruddy?
minute. Go on. Get
John
your head on
Ruddy?
that, son. Get your head on that. No, we didn't want that. But the last thing before we wrap up is the signing so far. I've not put Lewis Hall on it. Again, the reason being is because that deal was technically agreed last summer. Yes, we paid the money this summer, but I mean, those signings, it doesn't spring wow, does it?
Well, it does. Wow, but not in a good way. Wow, kind of like, wow, what are we doing? Wow. Not in a good way. Look,
If you go through them, right? So, do you get the John Ruddy one? Because I don't. Because
I
we've already
think
got
Will is a
Gillespie.
good signing. I think he's a little underrated. He's young, and I think he'll learn a lot
What
from
Willis
Isaac.
Miller?
I do like him, and I rate him, and I think we'll be pleasantly surprised by him. I think he's like a taller, quicker Wilson in the making. But Lloyd Kelly, I get it. He was free. He's a good signing. He's a solid signing. He's not a spectacular signing, but he's good.
The Vlachodimos one was done because of political reasons. Because we've got Forrest to buy Anderson, which helps our net profit because he's a youngster, he's academy player, and in return we had to sign him to get Forrest get him off our books. So, I mean, that shouldn't be in football. Again, we'll go back to this whole PSR stuff right at the beginning of the show. Vlachodimos is only signed but to keep so Newcastle effectively don't get a point reduction. Mental.
Is this a worse window than under Ashley?
Well, I mean, we've had a lot of poor. No, I wouldn't go that far, but I think it feels negative though, doesn't it? It's not like wow, we're looking forward to the season. Look who we've signed. You know what I mean? Whereas I think one summer, I think we signed a loan player under Ashley. I think another summer we only signed Vernon and Anita for like 3.5, 4 million.
But expectation-wise, under Ashley, we didn't expect much.
No,
Now
I mean,
we're sort of expecting a little bit more, and it's almost there. We're just
it is. It feels a bit later, doesn't it? But hopefully, we do have some better news later. We are going to be live 3 or 4 times today. Obviously, we've got Australia's view today through Hippie. What time is it over there?
At the moment, it's 10:25 in the evening, Friday night. It's a good Friday night, and I'm a little bit burnt, as you can see. It was 31 degrees, and it's still winter here in Sydney.
Nice.
31 degrees today.
Yeah, it was summer.
Celsius.
Yeah, would them day Fahrenheit. That's the Americans, man. That's the Americans. We'll leave that. We'll leave that.
Yeah, but I'm saying that for the American viewers. That's probably like about 800 Fahrenheit.
I don't know. Well, you drive on the left side of the road like us, so you're fine.
Yeah, we're normal.
Yeah, we're normal. Bit like Japan as well. But yes, thank you very much, Hippie, for coming on and having your opinion on the window so far and Eddie's Howe's press this morning. Later on this evening, we'll be getting, as I say, we'll have American. Jane Atlanta's agreed to come on. We'll have a couple of other local lads as well. So yeah, it's not great, but let's hope there's something at least later on this evening. Obviously, when Andrew, Hippie, you wake up, hopefully you've woke up nice and early with that nice winter sun. You think, wow, look at that who we've signed.
we've got Ronaldo and Mbappe.
Well, yeah, that's if we had unlimited funds. We probably could have one of them, but unfortunately we can't spend it. But yeah, we'll be back a little bit later, everyone, and we'll stay tuned to Newcastle Fans TV, and also stay tuned with socials where we'll update you there as well. See you, everyone.
Take care.